Welcome to this Sunday morning meditation at the Dhammadharini with a special welcome for Leo and Stephanie, who are in the room with me, together with Samaneri Ayya Sobhana, and a very special welcome for Debbie, Lenova, Ananea, Chavi, Savi, Elaine, Geraldine, Karen, Maggie, Maitri, Maureen, Nathan, Ruwanti. I have an idea for this morning's meditation, which is coming from the idea that first, having purified the mind of all of its negativities and toxic qualities, then one may abide pervading the entire world with a heart imbued with friendliness, compassion, sympathetic joy, and equanimity. So it's not that we think about love or think about joy in order to bring up some kind of positive emotion that's put on like the frosting on the cake to temporarily relieve an inner state which is negative, but rather that this practice of these divine abidings is something that's emerging from the process of purification. And in particular, my idea this morning is about mudita, which is usually translated as sympathetic joy. Another way of translating mudita is contentment. There's a sutta somewhere that says if a person has developed the heart of mudita, and yet they say that sometimes they are overwhelmed by discontent, then they have not developed the heart of mudita. So mudita is put out as the opposite of discontent. In the Pali root, mudita is related to pamoja, which is gladness. And so it does have an aspect like the inclination or the readiness for a happy mind. It also is from the same root is the word mudu, which means gentle and soft and pliable and flexible. And this is what's sort of coming to contentment. If looking within and looking outside, we had that soft, gentle approach that allows things to be what they are and is not constantly grasping and reaching after how things ought to be different than what they are. And this is not to say that we don't strive to purify the negativities within us. We do that striving. But it's also true that it's necessary looking within to recognize what's up with us, where the mind is. And with that gentle approach, accept reality. And then having accepted reality because of causes and conditions, it's like this right now. Having accepted that reality, it's possible to relax around it, and then it's possible to let go of the kind of negative or aversive reactivity. So we would never be aversive to ourselves, hateful to ourselves, harmful to ourselves. And if we give up completely on any kind of self-aversion, so then it's also possible with all of the external situations in the world to be free from aversion, free from discontent, to remain calm, to be truly at peace among the factors which are not peaceful. Or another Pali expression is sama avisame, being calm among that which is disturbed. So I'd like to invite you to just undertake this meditation with that preliminary reflection, that setting up of the intention. Let the mind stay calm. Let the mind be gentle. Let the mind be contented, able to acknowledge just the way it is right now. And with that, we can try some meditation. Welcome to come to an upright and balanced posture for meditation. With an upright back, unless because of the state of the body, if you need some extra support, you can lean on a cushion or something. Arranging the knees and the legs in a way that's comfortable and stabilized. Arranging the hands on the lap or however you normally arrange them. And without losing that balanced posture or slumping over, letting the soft parts of the body relax. directing awareness to the contact with the senses, especially touching. Aware of the feet or the legs touching the floor, of the seat touching the cushion, the hands touching the hands, the skin touching the air. The breath touching the nostrils. And if there's a feeling, pleasant, unpleasant, neutral, it's just a feeling. No need to react to feelings. Just let them be as they are. If any part of thinking comes along, like a perception or a plan, or a story or a thought, leave it alone. It's completely natural. No need to get involved with thinking. Letting the mind stay for a while, just with the sense contact. Take some time to be mindful. The mind in the middle, just aware of what it's like now. Bringing the mindfulness up to the high level. Noticing everything. Letting the sense contact, especially touching, be your anchor. Anything else that comes along, see it so clearly without getting involved. just mindful. and bringing the mind to the thought of kindness, the thought of friendliness. One abides, pervading one direction, with a mind imbued with friendliness. The second, the third, the fourth, above, below, around, everywhere, to all, as to oneself, abiding, pervading the entire world, with a heart imbued with friendliness, abundant, exalted, immeasurable. Pervading the all-encompassing world, with a mind imbued with compassion, abundant, exalted, immeasurable, pervading the whole world with a heart of contentment, of joy, abundant, exalted, immeasurable, and pervading the whole world with a heart of equanimity, seeing everything calm, stable, just as it is, abundant, exalted, immeasurable, and gently emerging from this brief meditation. This is a time for um, discussion. If you have a report to give on how this meditation was for you, or a observation about the instruction that I tried to give, and as well, if you're happy to give any blessing, message of kindness for those in the space right now, that's also welcomed. So I'll call on Sadie.
Can you hear me, Ayya?
Oh, you muted.
Can you hear me now? Hello? Hello?
I can hear you.
Hey,
Yeah,
hello?
I can hear you.
Can
I'm not sure Ayya is.
I can hear you.
I
I'm
don't think
just
Ayya.
checking my system to make sure it's not my trouble.
You're Ayya, you're on now.
Uh, okay, my problem. Sorry.
That's
Others
okay.
could hear you, but I couldn't.
It's
Now I
okay.
can hear you. Please go ahead.
Hi, greetings. Thank you. Something that lately, a little not on the same topic of the meditation, but lately it's been coming up that I really want or need or want to let go of attachments. And like, I thought I was in that process, but I just don't really know where to start. Can you speak to that, or how does it work? I mean, it's interesting because without taking precepts,
Mhm.
how do you work to let go of attachments? Because precepts, when you take the precepts, it's like some of them you have to like there's really you have to let go of attachments. Now, whether you let go of them inwardly or not is a whole different thing. But I'm household, so
Yeah,
it's yeah, and I'm going, okay, I really want to get to work on this. Where do I start, or how do I get going with this? Thank you.
I would suggest two different reflections that may be helpful. One is the reflection, all that is mine, dear and delightful, will change and vanish. So the things in this world that we are naturally attached to, whether it would be our family or whether it be some kind of our self-concept that we feel proud of having our own dignity, our own qualities, and feeling sad to let them go or to be have something taken away. Um, if you know that it's already gone, that it's already on the way to vanishing, then that's a way of sort of like conditioning the mind so that then when things do change, you don't feel any disturbance. This is especially helpful for people who have taken on certain responsibilities in the world that naturally tends to bring out some kinds of attachment. There's a second contemplation that I find really great for attachment, and that is in the long version of the Four Foundations of Mindfulness, in the section about the Four Noble Truths, when they explain how suffering arises, it says, the I in this world is dear and delightful. If the mind attaches to that, that's where suffering arises, and that's where the suffering settles down. And likewise, it goes through all of the senses and through different aspects of thinking and knowing. So different parts of mentality and the senses. But it's acknowledging that to be alive has the quality of being dear and delightful. And then in that sutta, the third section, which is about the cessation of dukkha, it starts exactly the same way. The I in this world is dear and delightful. If the mind doesn't attach to that, that's where suffering ceases. And so then to know that as you go through life with all of the ups and downs and the things that might stir up liking and disliking, or the things that might stir up emotions and reactions, that the very same spot where dukkha is arising, that's exactly where freedom can be found. It's just like a subtle change of attitude. So it's like being able to see the arising of craving is almost essential to be able to know how to let go, to see the arising of attachment. That's how you find out where to let go of attachment. You couldn't let go of attachment unless you could recognize attachment. So those are a couple of ideas that I have about that. I hope it helps.
Thank you. The very first that thing that you said, can you repeat that one more time?
All that is mine, dear and delightful, will change and vanish. Okay, thank you. I'll call on Chintana.
Yeah, I didn't have a chance to change my name. Hi. I have a question and two comments. My question is, I've noticed irritability arising in me, perhaps when I'm sitting in class or a meeting. Someone's behavior is uncontrolled, and I get very irritable about it, and I want to act on it. And it's not they're not children, they're adults. It's not my job to quiet them down, but my reaction to it is very harmful, and I'm so reactive lately, so irritable. I don't know how to change that.
Yeah. It may be that it's something in the air these days because of people feeling somewhat nervous or afraid of the future. And so then that anxiety then can sort of get spread around in a sort of emotional contagion. And that then can cause us to deteriorate a little bit with maybe the level of practice that we had before can a little bit like go downhill, and we find that something that maybe I don't know what in some point in the past it didn't disturb us, but now it does. So then, but the problem is definitely not with other people.
Yeah.
It's definitely not, and it's like you are irritating yourself.
Right, right, right.
And
So I could only not.
right, so the this is where our right effort comes in. So recognizing those negative states of mind, irritation is a negative state of mind, being willing to be really honest and acknowledge when it's coming up, to own it as something that we have within us, being willing, would you be willing to put a hard stop on irritation? Just say from
Yes.
this minute forward, I
Yes.
will not entertain this irritated mind anymore. And
Okay.
if somebody made that pledge, then they probably would do some like a preventative medicine, like making sure that they had enough rest, or thinking about thoughts of kindness and so forth ahead of time, to not put the mind in the area of being reactive. Or if other kinds of emotions come along that are sort of in the same family, like if someone feels fearful or depressed, or any other kind of emotions like that could then, because the emotions, they cover each other up, or the irritation maybe justifying something else, but but uh, uh, you're practicing prevention, and then you're practicing recognition, and you're practicing letting go, and you're finding out there's many different ways of letting go, but it may be that you could develop like one or two tricks that will work for a while, that will work for you, like an image or a phrase or something that helps you to remember that this is mine, and I don't have to keep it.
Okay.
So, yeah, this is important work to do.
Okay. I will take on that task. Thank you very much.
Okay.
And I had a I don't kind of a delightful thought during meditation that when we're focusing on, let's say, our breath or on metta, and some thought comes up, and I just told myself not to click on it. It's like clickbait. And so go back to what you were doing. Oh, yeah, I was breathing, or I was doing metta meditation. So I thought that was very clever that my mind grabbed that.
Yeah.
And then the other thing I wanted to share is I got a book from the used bookstore called Satipatthana, Direct Path to Realization by Anilayo. I don't know if I can get it up there, but I thought it was like it's not going to show up.
Put it closer
Pretty
to
good
you.
book,
Oh, now
closer
you're
to
gone.
me. Okay.
There. Now we can see it. Yes.
Yeah. Cool, huh? I just wanted to show you that. Okay. I'm done.
Thank you for sharing. I'll call on Karen.
Thank you, Aya. I appreciated your meditation. It was it hit my heart. I just wanted to share some helpful experience that I had with Cynthia, as far as knowing that you're aware of what's happening is definitely a first step. And what helped me with possibly irritations in the beginning of my practice was every time I left the house, I would say to myself that my practice will be tested and how will I respond. And I would always say the Eightfold Path. And it kind of helped my mind, condition my mind around the Eightfold Path, and it helped create that pause that that is cultivated within the practice when irritations do come up. So I just wanted to share a helpful advice that I had. So
Very
thank
good.
you.
Thank you very much for that, Sherry. Indeed, to become, if one is practicing mindfulness and observing the flow of the inner states, how things arise in a conditioned sequences, how the emotions, the thoughts, the reactions, etc., then what can happen is that we become interested in what's going on within us, And that very factor of taking an interest, that's one of the factors of awakening. And that's a wonderful buffer against irritation, like irritation or something like that can arise when we're not mindful and we didn't see it coming. And all of a sudden we're in the middle of some reaction, we didn't see it coming. But if we're interested in being mindful, following our own path, and also doing it in a gentle and kindly way towards our own self and towards our own heart and mind, then that also can sometimes prevent a lot from arising. Now I'll call on Amber.
Thank you, Aya. I love the whole we irritate ourselves. Oh my God, I love that. That's great. Also what you just said about the interest and the curiosity, it just it so changes it when everything is the process is interesting. Everything is an investigation. It really makes it curious and almost fun. It's just a discovery, so it's interesting. But back to attachment, what helped with attachment is just like many hours of sitting and seeing what comes up in sitting, and just the mindfulness practice, and then just seeing what I'm attaching to, obviously. But just off the beat a little bit, my one of my somebody I know gave me a little tip, a little trick of also doing writing with it. So like we're all different on what we attach to. Our personalities are all different, and this irritates us and that doesn't irritate somebody else. So I'll sit with the meditation, all the hours of mindfulness, and then whatever comes up, I'll do some writing, and sometimes try to ask, like, why am I attaching that? Like, why specifically? Is there any reason why I always go to this or I was attached to that? Sometimes there's a reason that can help it. Like, oh, okay, I get it. That's just a pattern I do because of, there might be like a little reason. So yeah, there's a little bit of writing that helps me in the process. But but yeah, and then in the beginning of the journey, of this whole journey, it's so interesting about when we very first try to detach, and then the no self, and then the complete, like, try not to attach. And then at very first, it's so foreign that it almost feels lonely, like the no self. You're like, oh no, no self. What am I going to be? It's like the empty, practicing the emptiness. It can feel a touch empty and a little bit lonely, but it's just because it's like new and it's kind of the unknown. You're like, oh no, like, what do I do if I'm not attached to anything? It's almost like the attachments are keeping us company. It was something to keep our mind busy. It's like it was our little friends that we weren't used to the peace or the freedom. We're like, that was our little buddy. So we lose all of that. It's like, oh no, what do I do? And it was a little lonely, but that luckily that went away right away, and you realize, oh, this is the path. There's the freedom that comes at the other side. So anyways, enough of me rambling, and thank you for the meeting today.
Uh, the what was said about Karen's comment about the clickbait. Many years ago, I read a wonderful book about it's called Choosing Sanity, and it was different journals and memoirs by people who were actually psychotic and were able to get out of it. And the voices in their head were like the ultimate clickbait. They were so enticing, so attractive. It was like, if they followed those voices, it was like feeling like being really alive. And then when they came to a point for some reason that they saw the consequences and they wanted to choose otherwise, the ordinary world, the sane world, was like weak, gray, and dull. And So it was not easy to choose the ordinary world against taking the hook, taking the bait, clicking on the clickbait for the things which are so attractive and enticing. But then, and it was, and the other common theme of that book was that the people who were able to overcome their mental illness, it was because of compassion and the wish to help others that they found the motivation to stay connected to this world and not to go into the other world. So, just the same way, recognizing that these unwholesome states of mind, the reason why we fall into them is because of that enticing quality. And if one is willing to just say no to attachment, just say no to irritation, the pleasure and happiness that comes from freedom from those states is could be more subtle until one gets over the hurdle, and then after that, it's pleasant indeed. I'll call on Maureen now.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good. I was thinking that what is kindness? What is happiness? What is joy? What are all these things? And they're all conditioned. They're conditioned and impermanent. And I like the equanimity to see things as they really are and not get snagged by them as the bottom line. And that's where mindfulness comes in, to be watching out for that. Because a householder's life is very difficult. And it's easy to get irritated and just stepping back and in an impersonal way almost. Yes, just not having the delusion of yourself either is so important to seeing maybe the best way forward, because you've got to make choices, but you don't want them to be roiled and disturbed and made in anger or attachment. You've got to be doing the very best in the circumstances, and that's where I'm coming from. But I found the meditation and the discussions have been very helpful. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. It's very true that what you say about equanimity, and also your comment about how the joy and happiness and those things being conditioned is it's a very good caution that one may, depending on what we need, for a person who is in a very hellish or harmful circumstance where they've internalized destructive, self-destructive patterns, then a bit of joy, a bit of happiness, a bit of kindness is a bridge to obtaining to going beyond all this conditioning. But for a person who's mature in their practice, they might not any longer have the need to do these divine abidings practices, like what I was saying before, putting a sweet layer of frosting over their minds to make everything seem sweet for a while. That we realize that that's not really it. but definitely we choose that which is not harmful. We choose to do no harm, and we do the deepest inner work to eliminate any kind of harmful or destructive tendency within us, and then come to that equanimity, as you say. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
So we've come to the end of our delightful hour of meditation. We can close by giving respect to the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. The Lord, the perfectly enlightened and blessed one, I render homage to the Buddha, the Blessed One. The teachings so completely explained by him, I bow to the Dhamma. The Blessed One's disciples who have practiced well, I bow to the Sangha.
Thank you, Ayya.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you everyone for your patient listening and your good practice today.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ayas. Thank you, everyone.